We've all been pretty amazed by what generative AI can do lately, haven't we? I mean, it writes, it codes, it even makes art.
Oh, absolutely. The capabilities are stunning.
But it raises this deeper question. Can AI truly understand? Can it have wisdom beyond just crunching data?
That's the core of it, really.
And that question leads us straight into today's deep dive. We're digging into Sophimatics, integrating philosophy, logic, and AI for computational wisdom by Gerardo, Iovane, and Giovanni Iovane.
A fascinating paper.
So our mission today is to explore Sophimatics. What is it? Why do the authors think it's so crucial right now? And how does it actually propose to get deeper understanding, maybe even ethical reasoning, into AI?
It's interesting because philosophy and technology, they've always been intertwined in human innovation, haven't they? We build tools, and those tools reflect how we think.
Right.
But this paper really argues that advanced AI, well, it's a whole new ballgame. It brings the challenge to a completely different level. We're basically at a point where if we want machines to do more than just process data, if we want real interpretation, then computational science, philosophy, logic, they have to come together.
So it's about bridging those fields.
Precisely. And this deep dive is all about exploring their proposal for doing that, for heading towards computational wisdom.
Okay, let's start with where things stand now. We look at models like GPT-4, these big generative AI systems, and honestly, what they can do is just incredible.
Undeniably powerful, yeah. Language generation, pulling together information, spotting patterns.
It's transforming things already.
It absolutely is. But, and this is the key limitation the authors really hammer home, these systems, powerful as they are, they work based on statistics, correlation, frequency in the data they were trained on.
So not actual understanding.
Exactly. They fundamentally lack concepts like causality, why things happen. They don't have common sense, not really. And they lack true interpretive understanding.
Interpretive understanding, meaning what exactly in this context?
Well, the authors put it quite starkly. The output is devoid of any concept of causality or true interpretive understanding. There's no real sense of purpose or meaning or intentionality behind the words or images they generate.
Okay, so I think I'm getting it. It's not just about needing more data or faster computers.
No, not at all.
It's about getting machines to actually interpret the data, to understand context, intention, the why.
That's the crux of it. The paper argues current systems, yeah, they're impressive mimics, but they can't truly reason interpretatively. They can't sustain a genuinely reflective conversation over time because they're missing that deep link to meaning itself.
It feels like they're just reflecting patterns they've seen without grasping the substance.
That's a good way to put it. And Sophimatics argues you can't just train that substance in with more examples. You have to design it in. Build it into the very foundations.
A fundamental shift then.
A leap, really, from correlation to comprehension. From what is said to why it's said and what it truly means.
Right. And this is where Sophimatics enters the picture. It's framed as the solution, isn't it? Defined as the science of computational wisdom. Quite a title.
It is ambitious, yeah. But its core aim is precisely to fill those gaps we just talked about in current AI.
By doing what?
By actually incorporating philosophically grounded concepts, things like meaning, context, intentionality directly into the AI models. It's not just tweaking algorithms, it's rethinking the architecture from the ground up.
Okay, so if you manage that, if you integrate those philosophical ideas, how does that change what the AI can actually do?
Well, the potential payoff, according to the source, is huge. It could enable genuine interpretive reasoning, real contextual awareness, maybe even ethical understanding in AI.
Imagine that. AI that doesn't just mimic understanding, but actually gets the nuance, the subtext, the why.
That's a good goal.
What really jumps out is how incredibly interdisciplinary this whole thing is. It's not just computer science trying to solve a technical problem in isolation.
No, definitely not.
The paper draws on such a wide range of fields. You've got philosophy, ontology, epistemology, phenomenology, then formal logic, math, computer science, obviously, but also cognitive science, social studies, and AI itself.
It's a real melting pot, as you say, trying to bridge these disciplines that, let's be honest, often operate in very separate worlds.
Okay, so it's clear this goes way beyond just writing clever code. It's rooted in some pretty deep thinking. Can you break down some of those key philosophical ideas driving Sophimatics?
Sure. They lean on some really foundational philosophical traditions. It's not just name-dropping. They seem to be genuinely trying to weave these ideas into the structure.
Like what?
Well, first there's dynamic ontology. This pulls from Aristotle, but also a philosopher named Simondon. The focus here is on how things become, how they evolve and individuate, rather than just static states.
Okay, why is that important for AI?
Because you want an AI that genuinely learns and adapts over time, that changes based on experience, not just updates parameters. It needs to understand process, not just snapshots.
Makes sense. What else?
Then there's intentionality, drawing heavily from Husserl's phenomenology. This is the idea that consciousness is always directed towards something. It's always about something. It gives purpose and direction to understanding.
Trying to give the AI a sense of purpose or focus.
Something like that, yes. And finally, dialectical reasoning. This goes way back to Plato and Hegel. It's about thinking through opposing viewpoints, contradictions, to arrive at a more robust understanding. Essential for critical evaluation, you'd think.
So dynamic being, directed consciousness, and reasoning through opposition. Heavy stuff.
Definitely. But what's really clever, or at least what's proposed as clever, is how they connect these deep philosophical concepts to the tech side.
Right. How do they bridge that gap?
They propose combining these ideas with specific computational approaches. Things like hybrid symbolic connectionist logic, trying to get the best of both worlds, rules-based reasoning, and the pattern matching power of neural nets.
Okay, I've heard of hybrid models.
Right. Then there's multidimensional semantic space modeling. This aims for a much richer way to represent meaning than just, say, word vectors. More nuance, more relationships between concepts.
Getting closer to how we might hold meaning.
Perhaps. And also the concept of complex time. This is crucial. They argue AI needs to understand time not just as one event after another, but in layers, how past context influences present meaning, how future possibilities shape current interpretation.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot more complicated than just a simple timeline.
Exactly. And it's this fusion, the philosophical depth, combined with these advanced computational ideas that they believe is the path forward.
These are the philosophical and formal pillars they talk about that.
That's the term they use, yes.
And they even mention the need for Sophimatics scientists, people who can actually work across these fields. It sounds incredibly challenging to implement practically.
Yeah.
Does the paper touch on that?
Oh, absolutely. They're aware of the challenge, and they do position it relative to current research. They acknowledge there's good work happening in, say, causal AI or ethical AI systems, including some hybrid approaches. But they argue many of these efforts are, well, philosophically shallow. They might hit specific targets for causality or ethics, but they lack that deep, integrated understanding of meaning and context that Sophimatics is aiming for.
And things like cognitive architectures.
Those might help with making AI more robust or stable, but again, the authors argue they don't fundamentally solve the problem of comprehensive meaning integration. Sophimatics wants to go deeper from the very start, acknowledging the complexity but arguing it's necessary.
Got it. Okay, let's shift gears slightly.
Yeah.
How does this translate into the actual structure, the conceptual design of an AI built on these principles? The paper tries to outline this.
Yes, it lays out the key conceptual and architectural pieces. So within this Sophimatics framework, an AI would incorporate that complex temporality we talked about.
Right, the layered time thing.
And they actually propose a specific mechanism for this, the Supertime Complex Neural Network, or STCNM. It's a novel architecture designed specifically to process time in this multi-layered way, which they see as vital for understanding evolving context and meaning.
Okay, a specialized neural net for time. What else?
A highly sophisticated memory and attention subsystem, presumably one that can handle context and intentionality better. Also, built-in mechanisms specifically for ethical reflection and dialogue.
So ethics isn't an add-on, it's part of the core design.
That seems to be the idea. And they also introduce the concept of the Sophimatic itself. That's their term for the intelligent agent, the system capable of this computational wisdom.
It's quite a comprehensive vision.
It is, but, and this is important, they are very clear that the work presented in this source is theoretical in nature.
Ah, okay. So it's a blueprint.
Exactly. It's laying the groundwork, the detailed conceptual foundation, the actual practical implementation, building and testing such a system. Well, that's positioned as a necessary follow-up study.
Makes sense. It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
So if we step back and compare this Sophimatics model to what most people think of as AI today, the large language models, the LLMs, how different is it really? Is it just a better LLM or a whole different beast?
Fundamentally different, according to the paper. It's not just an evolution. It's presented as a paradigm shift.
How so?
Well, the source really highlights the distinctions. LLMs, as we discussed, are brilliant at correlation, finding patterns in data. Sophimatics aims to go beyond correlation to interpretation.
By embedding those philosophical concepts.
Precisely. By building in meaning, context, intentionality from the start, the goal is to overcome the inherent limitations of LLMs. It's about understanding the why, not just mimicking the what. LLMs aren't inherently designed for that deep level of understanding.
So Sophimatics isn't trying to make existing LLMs wiser somehow.
Not directly, no. It's proposing a different kind of cognitive architecture altogether, one where wisdom, or at least the foundations for it, are embedded from the ground up. It's a different path.
Okay, so wrapping this up then, what we've really explored today is how Sophimatics presents this fundamentally different route for AI development.
Yeah, one grounded in philosophy, in concepts like understanding, intention, context,
Yeah.
rather than just scaling up data processing.
It's a pretty bold vision for where AI could go.
It really is. And what's so fascinating here, I think, is that it's not just about making AI smarter in the ways we usually measure it: faster, more data, better predictions.
Right, it's something else.
It's about trying to infuse it with something maybe closer to, well, human wisdom. And that leads to a really interesting question for you, for the listener, to think about.
Okay.
If AI could genuinely grasp meaning and context in the way Sophimatics imagines, how might that change things? Not just technology, but maybe even our own human understanding of what knowledge or wisdom actually is.
A deep thought to end on. Definitely
Uh,
something to mull over. We hope you continue your own deep dive into these really quite profound implications.